Greetings, greetings. Welcome to the 11th program of Stepping into the Light with your host, Ras Bishai at Bay Hill Radio, Kankadi Radio, and Fun City Radio, New York for Tuesday, the 22nd October 2024. That was our theme song, Exodus by Bob Marley. A little feedback. So, we say Mahatotep to all listening and following this program. And we have some new listeners tonight. Mahatotep to you. That's an African welcome. It's good to be here with you for another program. And all my favorite listeners, I know you're out there. And when you heard that theme song, you would have linked up others to follow and listen. For those who are new to the program, we normally start with giving some praises to the creators, and we also pay some respects to our ancestors. So I say, glory to the word, glory to the song, and glory to the power of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. Almighty creators of this universe, and I give thanks for your love, for your care, and for your guidance throughout the time, and for bringing I here for another program. Keep shining thy light into I path, and I go stepping into the light and unto Mount Zion. There it is. Blessed be the high rates of His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie, and Her Imperial Majesty Empress Menen, one perfect balance. Blessed be the high rates of our ancestors in Neteru, which walk alongside us. I always keeping I feet from slipping and falling, I hands from mischief and stealing, and I mouth from slander and idle speaking. And I call on the goddess Maat and the 42 divine ones from creation to keep all I people firmly on the 7 basic principles of truth, order, balance, harmony, law, morality, and justice. Give I life over death, light over darkness, mind over matter, and good over evil every time. Ashe, ashe. Yes, I people, and I here tonight by the blessing of the Almighty and by the guidance and care of our ancestors. For that, we give thanks to the owners and operators of Bay Hill Radio. Bay Hill Radio seems to be getting, which is a good thing, more business. That's good. So much so that the program had to start a half an hour later, but that's not a problem to either the host or the listeners. And thanks also to Kankadi Radio and to the sponsors of this program, and most of all, to you, the listeners. You make this program a reality. I hope that you're having a good week so far. So what are the happenings? What are we going to be reasoning about tonight? Let me just give you an idea, and then we will get into the details. Well, the small-scale indigenous rural farmers who suffered, that is in St. Vincent and Grenadines, who suffered from the intense dry season and the Hurricane Beryl, a chosen number will receive a package of seeds and inputs, compliments of the New York-based Indigenous Peoples Organization, starting from tomorrow. Okay, we will get into a little more detail in that later in the program. That's a very good move. We will also speak about the traditional marijuana farmers of St. Vincent and Grenadines, many of whom are facing tremendous production problems, that to be supported by a workshop proposed for next week at the UWI Center in Kingston. And we are clear in the heavens that this workshop is funded and supported and takes place at this very crucial time. We are going to tell you about the St. Vincent and Grenadines nutritional profile, and this is from an international organization reporting on our international profile, nutrition profile, our nutritional profile in St. Vincent. how we are doing as a people nutritionally. You're going to hear about that. And a lot of what you hear might surprise you or it mightn't surprise you, but when you get this information, you would definitely know which way to go. Okay? You're also going to hear about CARICOM countries and their dependency on food imports. We're going to go into that in some detail. CARICOM countries, they are dependent on food import. Well, also the FAO data for this country, FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the information shows that only 7,000 acres of land in St. Vincent and the Grenadines were under cultivation in 2022. And if I could recall right from our last official census we had in 1998, 1999, we had close to over 18,000 acres of land under cultivation. And now we are down to 7. Now one day seeing so much grass and trumpetry all over the place, and you're seeing less food, you're hardly seeing food and you're hardly seeing animals. And you will see how all this ties in to the National Nutritional Report when we get to that. Other thing is that I visited Rose Hall. I made a visit to Rose Hall in the company of some agribusiness people and some technical people on Saturday evening last, with the expected purpose of having a farmers meeting, but it was not, from the farmers end of it, it was not properly organized, and we had to abandon that meeting because very few, only 2 farmers actually showed up. It was supposed to start at 5, and at 5:30 there was no one there, and when we called the farmer who was responsible, he indicated he was just coming from the mountain, from the bush. And most of the other farmers who were supposed to be there, they were still either in the market or just coming from the market. So that had to be abandoned at the time and rescheduled for another day. And we are going to look at the way forward out of all these things. And also, before we do that, we're going to get into the biodynamic planting or gardening by the moon phase guide for the period Wednesday, October 23rd to Tuesday, October the 29th, 2024. Before I go forward, I want to big up someone who is listening, Shamika Andrews in Chauncey, and her son, Renaco George. Welcome to you to the program for the first time. I hope that you will enjoy it tonight and you will be a regular listener from now on, because this program is different from all others, and we're going to give you some basic information, and what we say here in this program could be verified, and we will use this platform in assisting recipients of the Indigenous Peoples Support Program, package of seeds and so, to get information to take you forward. We will have our own conversations online apart from the program, but we will also use the program, particularly the biodynamic planting by the moon phase guide, to keep you in the right direction. Okay? And big up all my friends in the diaspora, Canada, New York, well, America, wherever you are, Caribbean, and further afield, England and so on. So here we go. Here we go tonight. Yes, I'm going to start with the small-scale indigenous rural farmers. They know who they are, right? First of all, you were not chosen by guess. You were chosen based on your present activity, your past activity, And we know that you suffered during the passage of the hurricane and also during the driest spell we had before the hurricane. March, February, March, April, May. All that time. It was very dry. What we call it, we have in agriculture, we call it a hydric deficit, meaning a shortage of water. And very, it was hard for everyone, but it would be particularly harder for those people who live in the Grenadines where there are no running rivers. Okay. Now, this package, which is well timed, it's not a massive package in terms of large quantities of what, but it's massive in terms of its importance. It's given to you for several reasons. One, because you are the offspring of indigenous ancestors. And it is in that spirit in which it is given. Okay? What came to support it came from the sweat and blood of our indigenous family living in the diaspora. So we have to be mindful of that. It comes to you at a time also, a very important time, which is the cool season of the year, and a time of the year when a lot of these vegetables grow best. But also at a crucial time when the international and the regional reports show that Vincentians are only eating, on average, 35% of the green vegetables, fresh vegetables they need for a good nutrition, for a good diet, balanced diet. We are only eating 35%. We are 15% below the average. Way down. Should be on the other side, we are on the bottom side. Okay? That means we, as far as vegetable consumption goes, we are malnourished. And you're going to see how that plays out later in the program. It also comes at a time when, because our country has suffered the setback in terms of production, mainly because of the weather, but also because of bad policies and lack of cooperation among farmers and lack of people willing to work in agriculture, which is something that must be addressed. The food prices are soaring high. We have never had food prices this high in my lifetime. Never. Okay? And apart from that, a lot of local produce are scarce. We are importing much, much more than we should be importing. You will hear about that a little later in the program also. We're going to give you all that information. So it comes at a very important time. And what we need you to do with it is to take it, germinate, use the inputs as best you can to germinate the seedlings. Not all of the time, but you have experience, you are now steady to go. Share some with your immediate neighbors and friends and use the most and use it. Some will go for those who know are already in some small market for some commercial activity, but a lot of it will go into your own consumption, your home consumption, to help you yourself improve your nutrition and improve your health status. You don't want to fall victim of these non-communicable diseases, which are diet related. Help you and your children to improve what you eat, your health, because your health is your wealth. Okay, and you know that. So it will reduce your health, your food purchasing bill. You wouldn't have to buy these things. You would have some to sell to gain a little money to do something else. But most importantly, it will improve your health. And that is key, because when you are healthy, there are a lot of other things you can do which you cannot do when you're not healthy. So we know you're going to spread it out a bit in the community, and those plants you get, which the seeds could germinate again, whoever get them will use them and use them and use them again. Now, because you're getting these at the coolest times of the year, some of the things you're getting with flower, which normally don't flower, would flower in this cool season of the year. Flower and seed. So you can use your own initiative and collect some of these seeds. But we're giving you information from time to time to plant the next crop so that you have a continuous supply of these things. The package is also designed in such a way that you can intercrop, and there are fruit plants inside there which make very good companion plants. All this information will be given later on, the details of them, to keep pests in particular away from your other plants. So this is not a package where you will be required to spray anything. As a matter of fact, we expect you to produce everything organically. This is the start of a new grouping. Never mind you're separated by water or land, recipients. You're one family from today. And we will keep like that. We will keep speaking to each other and with each other. You are expected to use no chemical fertilizers in the production of these things. No pesticides or herbicides to kill grass. None of that at all. We are doing it in the natural way. Natural, organic, clean way. And you will be guided over and over again how to do it. So that by the time a lot of your practicing, you will be mastering it, and that is where you will go, because taking care of the soil and the land is taking care of your food, which is taking care of your health. So you're turning your farm into a pharmacy, Farmacy, a pharmacy. That's your food now becomes your medicine. Okay? And when you learn that and practice and master that technique, you apply it to everything you're putting into the earth. Keep your temple clean. Away from these things they want to tie us up with and chain us with get us sick, and all they do is treat us and they don't cure us. So between tomorrow and Friday, you can take your ID, some form of ID, up to the agricultural input warehouse in Kingston. You know that is just opposite Randy's supermarket there on the street near to the bridge, right? And proceed upstairs, present it, ask for your voucher, you'll get your voucher. You go downstairs, you present your voucher to the clerks downstairs, and they will provide you with what on the voucher. You sign it as received. You keep your copy of the document. They keep their copy. And if possible, if I'm not around or you have someone else around with you, if are 2 or 3 of you, how many? I'll get somebody to take a selfie with you with them and send it to my phone, because we want to keep a record of these things and to show the donors that everything has gone well. This is very important. This is an indigenous people to indigenous people link that we have just made, and we want to keep it strong. And of course, happy farming. I have every confidence that all of you would make the best of this little portion of input and grow from strength to strength. Right. We will have more of that in subsequent programs, but that is it for that part of it for this night. Our traditional marijuana farmers are suffering. They are suffering so much they have never had an ease since 2019 January, when the act to legalize medicinal cannabis, and the Medicinal Cannabis Authority was established in this country. And they were classified as traditional farmers, and they were just left on their own. Nothing has come their way, nothing much. Those who were given the license to produce, that's all they were given. They were given no other support. Maybe some seeds here and there. But right now, the support they need and the information they need and the guidance they need is very necessary because they are suffering from a lot of production related issues. A lot of put it simply, a lot of the weed rotting right in the ground right now as we speak, both in what they produce in the earth and what they produce inside. Okay? So we are hoping to have a workshop which will cover that and cover more the importance of the industry. The importance of the industry globally and locally. Globally and locally. We're going to cover that and we're going to show the way forward and we're going to outline what is basically needed right now from the state in terms of giving due support to the traditional farmers on whose back, whose blood, sweat, and tears gave the foundation for the development of this industry. Okay? We're going to have more details in the workshop. So I won't be saying too many of the details tonight, except to say that we have to approach the people, just like in any agricultural commodity, the whole of agriculture, we have to approach it from a business perspective. And if you're not doing that, you will always be the loser. Always be the loser. We have to approach it from a business perspective. I will say this much. The people who have come outside, the companies from outside who have come here during the last 4 or 5 years to invest in our medicinal marijuana industry are companies, they are not small individuals. And we as traditional people cannot compete with them as individuals. Just like the people, the food that we buy here in this country is bought from companies outside. But every farmer here feels that they're an island and they have to do things separately. It is time that we finish all that individualism and start organizing ourselves properly in business-oriented groupings when it comes to food and agriculture. It's only then that we will see real prospect and growth in our communities, in our homes, and in our country. Yes. So that is what we will do. We will make sure that our farmers get to know and understand, as we say, exactly the nature of the market, what they're doing with, what they're coming up against, what they have to do to reach where they're supposed to reach, and move from there, go forward. As a matter of fact, the real purpose of the workshop, for all reasons, there are 3 basic ones. Claiming and owning markets fair locally. The farmers in this country have lost market share on their own turf. This is not just for ganja alone, for everything. For everything. Look at citrus. We are now importing citrus and look at the ridiculous prices in the market, the supermarkets. But sticking to the ganja, our farmers have lost market share, totally. So much so that imported weed is being sold here right on the ground. And if it's not imported, the investors here have controlled, the investors in the medical marijuana have controlled that market that used to be supplied mainly by traditional production. Secondly, the other nature is establishing and gaining ownership and control of the marketing production system. Because, as I said, individually you can't make it. And the production marketing system is a system which has to be organized properly at all levels, at all levels. And you have to have control and ownership of it. Because if you are dependent on buying in seeds, planting material from outside from other people every season, which never happened in our traditional days, then you're just wasting time. That means they have you hooked, they have you chained, and they could feed you what you want. And the third reason is to establish and gain ownership. Sorry, that's the second one. To create a sovereign and sustainable cannabis industry. Sovereign and sustainable cannabis industry means to say that you have control over the industry. Now, you will hear in the workshop, the people in the workshop will hear these many different products which this plant makes. Many, many different products. Some of them you don't even know, you didn't even think they make them, right? The importance of them globally. We won't go into them tonight. We'll just tell you that that is it. And we will have a similar workshop sometime for food producers, local food producers. We must have that. Getting you to organize yourselves together. Not just register as a cooperative, which says nothing, which is even worse because of the type of registration process where you just become, the object is just to make a straw man, a straw woman out of you. You get no real support. And when the time comes, you just get handouts of what they think you should have, not what you really need. And that's why that's why we have so many problems in this agriculture in this country. Okay? Okay, so that is what I have to say tonight on the medical marijuana issue. Yes. The St. Vincent and the Grenadines nutritional profile. Before I go into that, let me just give you some little tidbits before I go into that, because that's a long one and it will carry us a good way up. Organic farming, which is what we are promoting in the same package, organic farming is taking root in South Africa as we speak. And for those of you who know, you know that South Africa is the leading economy in Africa itself, and it's one of the bigger countries. And organic farming, the farmers in South Africa have decided that that is the way to go. No more toxic chemicals in the soil. Farmers are opting to grow crops without using pesticides. And a new standards body has mushroomed, which will test farmers' land. You could go online and get the data of the whole program, the article. Organic farming takes root in South Africa. Right? Type that into your YouTube and the program will come up and you can read it. And it's spreading because just 2 weeks ago, farmers in a very large part of India reported doing the same thing. Dishing their chemicals for organic inputs because they found that their yields of crops were going down and the soil was being made toxic and weaker by these chemical inputs. And that is something, later in the program, we're going to see, that is a road that we must walk in St. Vincent. And you, the chosen few who are getting that package, you are the front, some of the front runners. Some of you are already doing it, but we're going to expand it. You are the front runners in this new move to make St. Vincent agriculture totally organic within a few years. Within a few years, definitely. We can't go outside of that. Now, here's why. We're talking now about the nutritional profile of St. Vincent and Grenadines. The nutritional profile of St. Vincent and Grenadines, officially. It says St. Vincent and the Grenadines is off course, not on course, to meet all of the global nutritional targets. They use the word targets, but I like to say goals, for which there was sufficient data to assess progress. This is an international organization that was set up to do that, to assess the progress of all countries, including St. Vincent and Grenadines, to meet all of the global nutritional goals for which what was set, and which is signed on to. The SVG is off course. That means we're going in a different direction. We're not on the same course. The way the boat going now, it could sink or it could hit something and shipwreck. Of course. To meet all targets for maternal, that's with the mothers, maternal, our precious women, infant, our precious youth, infants, and young children nutrition, abbreviation MYCN, mothers, infants, youth, young child nutrition. It says no progress has been made towards achieving the target or the goal of reducing anemia among women of reproductive age. That's women between 15 and 49. That's how they list them. Reproductive age, with 17% of women aged 15 to 49 years now affected. 17%. 17 out of every 100 women you see, right, are affected with this anemia. So every 750, 100 women you see, wherever your community, between 15, which would be young girls, young ladies, and 49, right? They are suffering from, they have high anemia. But that's even worse. It says there is insufficient data. Listen to this. In a country where we're supposed to be collecting data to supply to these same organizations, and just that, to use for planning. If you do not have correct information and data, wherever, even you're running a little 1x2 Marby shop, you have to have that. Even if you're just running one stand and lettuce to sell things from, you have to have that. You must connect your information to see how you're going, whether you're making progress or you're spinning top in mud. You see, in St. Vincent and Grenadines, there is insufficient data to assess the progress that St. Vincent has made towards achieving the low birth weight target. Nor is there adequate prevalence data. There's no data to say how prevalent it is, and no data to say whether we're achieving the low birth weight target. The same thing goes for exclusive breastfeeding. The same thing for the target of stunting. The same thing for the target of wasting. The same thing for the proportion of children under 5 years of age who are overweight. Or that St. Vincent is on course to prevent this figure from increasing. St. Vincent and Grenadines has shown limited progress towards achieving the diet-related non-communicable diseases goals or targets, as they say, right? You have to the word target is not a word we should be using because that language comes from the people who use us as targets. Maybe that's why we're not achieving them. If we set them as goals, in netball, cricket, not netball, in cricket, in netball, football, basketball is goal you have to score. Net, basketball is net, football is goal, right? It says 34.6% of adults, that is people who are 18 years and over, 34.6% of adult women and 19.5% of adult men are living with obesity. Let me repeat that. 34.6% of adult women and 19.5% of adult men are living with obesity. That means 34.6. 346 out of every 1,000 women in this country are living with obesity. And 19.5, 195 men out of every 1,000 are living with obesity. Now, that, when I look at it from my own perspective, going through the country, I know it's higher than these figures, but let us accept their figures. I know it's higher. If you want to prove that, we from South Leeward here. We from South Leeward. You, at the rush hour time, whether morning rush hour or evening rush hour, you try to get in a van and see how many people could hold on one roof. In most times, it's just true. Because why? And I'm not in any way being offensive to people who are obese, especially women. It's not their fault. Hardly their fault. Maybe they don't know what to do or they don't know how to prevent it. But they don't do it for spite. That's the point I'm making. It's only 3 people could hold on a seat these days. In a van which is designed to hold 4 big people comfortably. It says St. Vincent and Grenadines obesity prevalence is higher than the regional average of 30.7% for women, but is lower than the regional average of 22.8% for men. That means to say, we have a higher number relatively. Out of every 1,000, we have more obese women in this country than the average for the whole region. But we have lower for the average in men for the region. But it says at the same time, diabetes is estimated to affect 13.6% of adult women and 10.7% of adult men. Diabetes. Now, this we know, and this is I know because of the way I trod and the people I speak to. That is why people like my herbalist family from out in Calder and others who have that skill, that rare skill and enthusiasm and have been getting a lot of results. These people must be supported in terms of expanding the business. Must be. It's obvious. That is why we have not achieved the goals set by these things, because the system does not want to, just like how it does not want to fund and set up a lot of small farmers to reduce the food import bill properly. It's just so they don't want to set up the local, real, genuine herbalists, medicinal people who know about medicine, who know about preparing potions, not by guess, but by the right information, the right knowledge, and having a track record of healing people, of reversing these same non-communicable diseases, which the medicines and the prescriptions from the official, the so-called doctors of the system cannot do and has not been doing. And in many cases have made them worse. So if we do not support these people and make sure that their businesses expand and they have the room, the infrastructure and the equipment to do what they need to do, which will in turn now pull from the production system, mean that a lot of small farmers, like you on the same program here now, would become suppliers to the herbalists. Then we're wasting time. We will always get these kind of reports. Now, here a summary of this thing. Childhood stunting. This is Vincent. Childhood stunting, no data. No data. And you talk about the education revolution. Remember that. Anemia, no progress or worsening. No progress or worsening. Low birth weight, no data. Childhood overweight, no data. Now, let me pause a little bit. You notice, I don't know how many people notice it, but I notice these things all the time. Because I was once a school child. I went to school from the time I was about 3 years old. We didn't call it preschool in those days, but it was that level. And then primary school, and then secondary school. Right? Those are the schools before you go to up to university where we went, right? And I could remember in those days, if there were obese people, you could count all of them on one hand. On one hand. Today, when you look at the school, the children going to school or coming from school, particularly after 12, after 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you see some of the size of these children who are young teens or just barely adolescents, you want to know what is happening. What is happening? And it's obvious that their parents, particularly their mothers, because a lot of them live in single parent homes, unfortunately, do not know what to give the children properly to eat to prevent that. That again is the importance of this little program we're having with the farmers. So please take care of your greens that you're going to get the seeds for from tomorrow, and let an example start right in your home. Feed your picnic and them funny greens you're going to grow. You can use them to make anything. You could use them to make drinks, smoothie. You could use them raw. You could use them cooked anyhow, but make sure your children eat the greens, because vegetables are a very, very, very important part of our diet. Prevent all these non-communicable diseases. You don't want your children getting type 2 diabetes at an early age. You don't want them feeding them the trans fats. It's not getting through the system, it's bulking up on the skin and they getting overweight by the time they're 10, 11, 12. You don't want that, because it affects the heart, they affect the walk pace, they affect everything. You even have to spend more money in buying bigger clothes for them. That's the problem. Okay? They say is exclusive breastfeeding, which is something when I was small, all the old people knew that. You have to breastfeed your children right up, post bottling them all. That is for the health. Breastfeeding children. So exclusive breastfeeding, there is no data. No data. Childhood wasting, no data. This is the country talking about, no data. Who is responsible for all these things? Sodium intake between women and men, of course. It's off course. Sodium intake. Lots of people eating too much salt. And not just too much salt, the wrong kind of salt. Totally refined salt. Not like you're using sea salt or some other healthy salt. Okay? Raised blood pressure, women, of course. Raised blood pressure, men, of course. And these are some of the things which my good family, again, the herbalist, is curing. Not just treating, curing blood pressure. High blood pressure, bringing it to normal in a matter of days. And then keeping you on course to keep it there with the right treatment. So we're not giving up. We must get proper funding for people like that to get their business going properly. This is where the health of our nation lies. In feeding our people the right food from the farmers, clean food, and treating and preventing non-communicable diseases with the right medicine. Otherwise, we're just wasting time. Obesity in women, of course. Obesity in men, of course. Diabetes in women, of course. Diabetes in men, of course. So you see where, of course, not off, of course, we are in this country officially in terms of meeting our goals to have a healthy system. We're probably one of the sickest people in the region. One of the sickest people in the region, we probably are. So what we have to do in order to heal this thing, because it's a healing we're dealing with, in order to get on course, and in order to heal our nation to get where we want, as a healthy people, we have to unite. And in uniting, we have to follow, I love that, to follow the lyrics of the great Bob Marley. Because we are Africa right here, whether you like it, yes or no. Africa is all over earth, in spirit and in truth. So Africa, unite. After that, we will take our support from our sponsors, our radio station, and go right forward. Yes, people, yes, people. So you heard all those ads there, both of our people in the diaspora, particularly Canada and those here. So, make sure that you are part of whatever independence celebration you hope to take part of. And you have to make yourself more independent. And as you would see, we have started that. That is why we are giving out that small package of seed. It might look small, but that's a part of making you independent. And you will see why as time goes on. Now, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this is the 149th program we're doing at Bay Hill since we started the 4th of January 2021. We had some little breaks, but everything has gone exceptionally well since then. I normally do what is called a biodynamic gardening / planting by the moon phase guide. Now, a lot of people plant by the moon, but most people plant by the moon sign. It had a time when I used to try that, and it worked in some ways, but since I got knowledge of and practice with the moon phase, I find it to be a much more productive and convenient system and much more suited to us. Because the phase of the moon is what our ancestors used, not so much the sign, the phase. Basically, there are 4 phases of the moon. If you start with the new moon, from the new moon to the first quarter, This is mainly for the people who just came on, and particularly for the people who are just listening, our farmers who are going to plant these seeds. And I want you to follow this process because not because you're getting the seeds this week, meaning you're going to start a plant this week. I'm going to guide you and tell you what to plant when. Because I want you to get the best nutritious plants and have the least problems with pests and diseases by following this guide. Okay? If you plant a seed anytime, it will grow, but it will not have the same vibration, the same internal strength as if you plant it at the right phase of the moon. Okay? And that's a fact. Now, the first phase of the moon to the new moon to the first quarter is called, it's getting bigger, so it's called the waxing crescent because the moon is in a crescent form at that time. After the first quarter, it goes into a stage where it's no longer crescent, it's getting up to a gibbous or rounded form. It's still waxing, so you call that phase the waxing gibbous, right up to the full moon. And then from the full moon to the last quarter, it starts reducing in size. It's still gibbous, but it's now a waning gibbous. And then from the last quarter to the new moon is when it gets smallest, and you call that the waning crescent. So those are the 4 phases. So the information for tonight, from Wednesday the 23rd, that's tomorrow, to next Tuesday the 29th, is this. Right now, today, tomorrow, rather the 23rd, we are in the waning gibbous stage. We only have 2 days left in that phase, the waning gibbous phase. That's Wednesday and Thursday. Thursday will be the last quarter. Now, what is recommended? This is the best time of the best phase of the moon to plant below ground plants, especially root plants. You could plant trees, you could plant shrubs, and you could plant perennials, things that last for a long time. It's great to harvest all crops. It's great to fertilize. It's great to transplant, like if you have seedlings. Also to mow lawns and prune. Okay? Now, for you who are getting seeds between tomorrow and Thursday, I'm speaking to our little farmers in line now. Okay? You will be getting among the seeds a few packets of onions. So between tomorrow and Thursday, because onion is a below ground plant, classified, it's a good, that is the seed that you could set at that time. So the first seed you should be setting out of your package, if you collect it between tomorrow and Thursday, is onions. If you collect it after that, you have to put up your onions, preferably for when this phase comes again. And you store all your seeds in a cool, dry place. Okay? Now, for what you already have there by you, you can transplant, right? You can fertilize, you can prune. Okay. Now, on Friday, this is Friday the 25th coming here, the moon gets into the 3rd phase, which is the waning crescent. It already, the 4th phase rather, waning crescent. It's the last quarter is Thursday, and the moon is getting smaller now. What the old people used to call the back moon. This phase is not a time to set seed. Not recommended to set seed in this phase at all. So you have to rest this phase out. It's a time to rest and avoid seed sowing. It's a good time to harvest and store crops. It's a good time to fertilize and to transplant. So if you had seedlings before of anything, it's a good time to transplant. It's a good time to clean up your land, to do weeding. Excellent time. I show you some of you hear the old people say, I go in and weed and mow and fertile manure my place in the back moon. That's the best time. It's a good time to mow lawns and to prune. Okay? The same thing goes for Saturday and Sunday. Well, Sunday is a real good day for pest control, spraying. When I say that, I mean with organic products. I'm not talking about chemicals. So if you're doing any kind of spraying of anything, because I know some of you make your own home stuff, right? Or you happen to buy something organic inputs, which is organic. Make sure it's organic. The day to do that is Sunday and a bit on Monday. Tuesday is the same thing. You're still in the waxing crescent. So that is your guide. That is your guide for the week up to next Tuesday, the 29th. Make sure you follow it. So what do you do when you collect your seeds? As I said, you collect them tomorrow or Thursday. You have a chance. You plant you sow some of your, you can't, it's not advisable to sow everything one time. You sow some of you use one of the trays and the pot and soil mix you have, and you sow some of your onions so that when they germinate and they reach a certain size, you harden them, you could take them out easily out of that tray, and you already have your area prepared for them, you could transplant them. Okay? Right. So you starting to lead the way. Now I'm going to give you another report and show you exactly how we as farmers have a responsibility not to wait on the state, but to control, to make sure our country becomes stronger. It says CARICOM countries are dependent on food imports. CARICOM countries, of which St. Vincent and Grenadines is one, of course, are dependent. Here we're talking about independence. We are dependent on food imports. And starting from the least dependent right down to the most dependent, I'm going to give you them, right? Staple foods covered by imports, percentage-wise. Guyana imports 32.4% of its staple food. That's the least importation. Belize imports 44.3% of its staple food. Suriname imports 59% of its staple food. You must be saying me now, hey, St. Vincent and Grenadines name. Take your time. Dominica imports 62.7% of its staple food. Jamaica imports 69.2% of its staple food. Barbados imports 70.5% of its staple food. Haiti imports 70.8% of its staple food. St. Vincent and the Grenadines imports 73.5% of its staple food. Antigua and Barbuda imports 80.8% of its staple food. Grenada imports 84.2% of its staple food. St. Lucia imports 85.5% of its staple food. St. Kitts and Nevis imports 89.1% of its staple food. Bahamas imports 90.5% of its staple food. And the biggest importer of its staple food is Trinidad and Tobago with 96.2%. Now you see why CARICOM was forced to, they had no choice. Having followed to the letter the philosophy that came from outside, which was verbalized in St. Vincent. I'm not sure it was verbalized in other countries, that agriculture is a thing of the past and they must follow tourism. This is where they ended up. This is where we CARICOM states have ended up, with that percentage of their staple foods being imported. And as a result, they have an abundance of diet-related non-communicable diseases. However, in this case, although we are not the biggest importer, but one of the bigger ones, by importing 73.5% of our staple food. That means for every 100 pounds of staple food we import, we consume, 73.5 pounds of that is imported. And you heard the report, the nutritional report I gave a while ago. You see what we're eating? We're eating mainly crap. And it's been said officially. We're eating what we call health retarding foods. That is why the little seedling, the little seeds you're getting here, farmers, are so important. Take care of your own diet and take care of your children. But it also shows you something on the bright side. The region has signed the agreement to cut their food import bill, this food import bill, by 25% by 2025. And some of the countries that are advanced and going this, Trinidad is one of them, Trinidad and Tobago. Belize is one, Jamaica is one, and Barbados is one. We are nowhere in the mix when it comes to being on course to reduce our food import bill. Because we have approached it and we are approaching it complete wrong way. And we have some people in charge here who are very hard-headed. Very hard-headed, to say the least. Okay? So we cannot wait on them. We, the farmers, have to do it. What it shows here is when you look at it the right way, from a different perspective, is that we have a big market right here for food. Yes, 73.5% of our food is imported. And out that 73%, more than 75% of that 73% could be produced right here. So we have a massive market right here. But what we lack is the organization and the will among our people, the unity and the know-how. That the know-how could only come by the unity and the organization to make it happen. And that is why we played that tune before, Africa Unite. The Africa we're speaking about is you, the people here. Unite. That's what you have to do. You have no other choice. Are we going to start with the same people on this little program who getting the seeds? Unite. And I'm going to show you how whatever you have to market, we could market it here easily, even before it's ready for market, because that is just the delivery part, the selling part. Marketing is a big process. Marketing doesn't start when you're finishing a product and then going in the market to look for sale. No, that's the old way. Marketing starts as soon as you plant. Marketing is a process, and we're going to teach you that process. And we're going to assist you with that process. So that before your crop is ready to be harvested, you already know who you're selling it to and how much you're selling it for. You already marketed it. The only thing that's not complete is the sale, the transfer, the delivery, and the collection of the payment. Okay? And there are things which have to happen in that, outside of this thing, to get you to that point. And before I forget to say it, let me say it right here now. What little we are putting that package is for you on. And thanks for our good farmer from Union Island, family farmers from Union Island, for raising that concern with I on the phone yesterday. Now we are going to make sure, I am going to make sure that a copy, the basic things of this little program, go to the authorities now. You see them going all over the place and say they're giving vouchers to farmers for that. That's a good thing. Except that a lot of the inputs there are not what we recommend for these farmers. And the inputs need to be extended to include farmers who do not use chemicals so that they could get what you really need in one stop, or at least somewhere in the country. Lots of things that we need right now we can't get. I am saying, and I know that a lot of officials are listening to this program. So who has the ear of the Prime Minister? Tell him early, because I am coming there and I'm coming to the Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Minister of Agriculture, not going over or under your head or your feet, coming to you first. And I'm telling you that because we know what this country has had from outside in terms of support in the last 2-3 years, every person on this program who we are giving a package, particularly those in the Grenadines where you have water shortage from the time it comes like early December, must be given a tank, a water storage tank, must be given. Not should be given, must be given a water storage tank. At least 450-gallon tank. So they could collect rainwater between now and late December when the rain eases off, to carry the same package through any dry season, January, February, March, April, even up to May. That is your responsibility. That is part of your responsibility. And that will help you to reach the goals, or what you refer to as the targets, a lot of them set out in that same report that came out that say you're off course. That will help to put you back on course, because people now will have assistance and infrastructure to collect what is necessary, the most vital thing in farming, water, to water the little sweet peppers, the tomatoes, the onions, this lettuce, whatever they have going right down in that season, to make sure that they satisfy their nutritional goals and their nutritional needs when they come, as the brother used to say. Okay? So you expect to get an official letter from Iwan saying, this is what our indigenous people has put out, and they do not get anything from any big organization. You, the government who are responsible for governing, who have got a lot of this infrastructure from big organizations, make sure that you support this program initiative by giving each of these farmers, not many, it's about 20 something farmers, a water tank, because we know you have them, right? And we know they came for the farmers. Whatever political mileage you want to make out of that is your business. That is not the point. The point is to make sure that these people have water storage capacity, which is well needed to take their production safely through the dry season, which will be on us in a couple of months' time. Right. That is the first thing that you have to take care of. That, and also making sure that the traditional cannabis workshop comes off before you have all this cannabis you're speaking about. Because these are the people on whose backs, some of the people, these are the people on whose backs the local cannabis, medical cannabis industry has been built. And these are the people on whose backs the international medical cannabis has been built. Because in the 1990s, for those of us who are old enough to know, when all these helicopters used to come in, it's a helicopter raid, we didn't know exactly what they were doing, because they were covering it under something they call the drug drug eradication program. But we get to know, you see, Babylon always telling lies. We get to know not too long after that there was no drug involved. Cannabis is not that, what they were trying to demonize it to say. Because today it's the most healthy and wanted and sought after plant in the world. Not I saying so. The facts saying so. The facts, FACTS. What they were coming here to do is just like they were going to Afghanistan for years to do, like they did in Panama when they got rid of Noriega, like they did in Colombia, like they did in Jamaica, and they did in St. Vincent and Grenadines, because Jamaica and St. Vincent and Grenadines at the time produced the best. St. Vincent first and Jamaica second, although they were started long before us, produced the best quality marijuana in the region. FACT. It's there. They were stealing our seeds, stealing our genetic material, our germplasm, and taking it home to their country and crossing variety with variety with variety with variety and this and that until they made their list and their stock of hybrids, which they are now using today to make billions of, yes, billion, not millions, billions of dollars a year from different products. Because they found out when we were suffering, they were in the lab working all over the world, especially that same little country they call Israel up there. They were working 24 hours a day, the scientists in the lab, to find products from that plant to cure the diseases that were plaguing their people, for which they had no cure. Because the products they were using, the opiates, was just making it worse. So here we are on the threshold of an international product market whose present value is tens of billions of dollars per year. Each country, many countries. And here we are in the Caribbean. According to the data, their data, we haven't even made up to 2022. Our local medicinal industry has not even made $1 million yet a year. A market here that our traditional farmers brought income in to this country to take care of poverty-stricken communities and bring them out of that level so that the children could go to school on a Monday morning, well-fed, well-dressed, and people could go to the market, supermarkets on a weekend and buy the necessary groceries, and people could produce food to eat. Here we are today as one of the sickest countries in the region because that money dried up. So we have a food market right here that we have to supply. As I said in one of the programs before, for the people who just listening, we have a fresh vegetable market right here every year, that valued over $7.5 million. So I hope that all who are receiving this little program assistance, plus those who were already committed to doing that, we unite, as the song said before, we join together, and with the right guidance, the right support, we at least first of all supply our local market with these vegetables consistently. We put a program in place to do that. That's where we have to go. So you make sure you have food home and in your neighborhood to cook, first of all, and then the commercial excess will be marketed right here. So a lot of these big supermarkets don't want to import anything. In doing that, the state has a lot to do. That is their responsibility. For sure, we could only work properly with the family labor we have or the friend labor because it's very hard now to get honest people to work here at honest days pay. At done honest days work. Of course, the rates have to go up. We have to pay much higher wages in the agricultural sector. But that doesn't mean anything. Once you get the quality work, it will pay for itself. That is why if you are one person in a home or two, you in a home work in the garden, you cannot afford to be obese, you cannot afford to be anemic, you cannot afford to be diabetic. You have to have your energy to work, to optimize what you put in and maximize what you put in. So what you put in is what you will get out. The government also has to put things in place to assist the united farmers, the farmers who work together in preventing and eliminating predator larceny, stealing of our farmers' produce. And we're starting with these same 20 farmers, these same 20 odd farmers. We're going to make sure we're going to put our things in place that nobody steal your lettuce or your sweet pepper or your onion or your whatever and come and sell it by no roadside because we have a lot of vendors these days because of the city economic situation who don't have anything planted anyway, but they're selling things almost every day. And they're not buying from anybody, so it's coming from. Where's it coming from? And people buying the same thing willy-nilly. So the consumer has to be made wise. Do not buy things which do not come from genuine farmers or from genuine, well, come from genuine farmers, and the genuine vendors will always have that record, the data. We're not ending up like this program where no data off, and we are, of course. One of the things that must happen in this country in agricultural vending, regardless of what government we have, government of ourselves or government of whether the corporation government or the real sovereign government, is traceability. And everybody has to account for what they're selling. It must come from somewhere official. Must. Can't do things out of order. That is why order is the second law of our people from original. Truth, order, balance, harmony. You can't beat that. That is where we have to go. So one of the ways forward is for us as a people to unite at the first thing in the community, the small community level. That is where it's supposed to start. Don't let nothing divide it in. No politics, no religion, nothing at all. Unite when it comes to that. That's the only way we could come out of it. And then, even I remember not too long ago when I used to work in Fancy, it's one of the few places. Well, we have it in my community too. In when I growing up, in terms of construction, a lot of houses in Kittles, Camden Park, Clive Valley, Lomans, this place in particular, build for help. We can help, man. Come and you cook something, you bring something to drink, and man, come and help you run up a 200 blocks or 300 blocks and that kind of thing. So people who end up with no mortgage. When I was in Fancy in the 80s, farmers worked together collectively. So when it comes to like this phase of the moon, before it starts, everybody don't know who going to plant potato. You place and clean up. Farmers will go and prepare, 10 farmers go and prepare land for farmer X, and then they go by farmer Y, then they go by farmer G, and so on and so on. So by the time that phase done, 10, 12, 15 acres of potato in the ground already, different areas. And it ain't cost nobody no big set of thing to pay because the farmers work collectively. They make sure that everyone gets the kind of help they're supposed to get. That is the kind of support that we still need in this time. Of course, in this time, we have to modernize our technology. And we're going to make sure that that happens. That is why I'm starting with the water tanks. When you get them, you also have to have some support. You know, just bring in tanks and land it on you, know. No, they have to make some support because the government have all these services. That some plumber comes around and helps you to put the right fittings on so that when you get the water in the tank, you can get the water out of the tank properly too. That's all party support. That's that is what you call developmental support. If you don't give people the support, your country not developing. Developing ain't no big set of concrete out there, everything about our people. Then the people also have to be trained. Those are the things that we have to do going forward. Lots of that. So here we have 73%, 73.5% of our foods being imported, and we want to cut that down. We're using their same figure, 25% by 2025. And on these programs that we're going to work among you and other farmers, both on this radio and online when we get our little thing up together, where we could communicate for hours so online using the phones or WhatsApp on a Zoom meeting and be more specific. We're going to give you some inside information on how to do what. That is what we're going to do. We can't be on this stuff here, which is our local market, and just see supermarkets come here importing 73 point something percent of what they're supposed to be selling us, feeding us, and then most of them take the money and ship it back outside. And what they leave us out here is non-communicable disease on the biggest side, and lack of money. We, our people, we have to wake up. We can't allow that to happen. We have to wake up and do things, then do it collectively, and make sure at the end of the day, everybody's smiling and everybody feel happier and healthier. Other day, we're wasting time. We are wasting time if we do not do that. So what we're going to be doing, how many things we're going to be doing going forward. What is needed is to train a new workforce mentally and technically and intellectually, academically. We have a lot of youth now who very savvy with the new technology, the IT, new technology, keeping information. You, the farmer, doesn't have to do everything. You are the main farmer in a family. You have somebody going to technical. Most people have somebody going to secondary school, or they themselves could do it, right? Most farmer families. Most people today have access to a phone, or the children have access to a phone. So let them, the active ones, keep your records for you. You tell them what you do, and they keep the record. They know how to store that. They know how to store it electronically, and they could store it hard copy by just printing one out and have it somewhere. So if you collect anything happen to electronic data, you have the hard copy right there. Mommy, what you do today? Or daddy, what you do today? Oh, I planted 71 holes of cabbage, 21 holes of cauliflower, so much broccoli or whatever it is. Let them note that down. What that will help you do is to learn the whole production system of your crop. If, for example, you're growing cauliflower, and the cauliflower variety say it will start heading from transportation, from transplanting at 3 weeks, the seedling that is, whatever it is, right? Hardening, just use an example. It will start forming heads in so many days. Once you have that information down when you transplant, you just get in the almanac and you check off the date, the how many days it start, and then you watch it and you see, and you know how to feed it and you know what to expect. When you harvest the weight, let the children record that again. You're keeping a record. You have to start to keep records. You have to start to keep data. You don't want to end up like how this country is now. No data, so you don't know where you're going. You're drifting away. You're off course. You're drifting back, and you don't know where you're going because you don't have the information. Keep that. At the end of the day, you would see whether you're spinning top in mud or you're top sleeping and swinging and making sweet songs. Okay? That is where we have to go. And we will be doing a lot of that teaching online because it's easier. The technology is there. It's even a little more cost effective because you don't have to be moving around. I could speak to 20 of you. I could speak to 40 of you one time from one spot, and you could speak to me the same way. That's how we're going to set up this thing. And that has to go for different groupings. Same way we go organize the market because we will be teaching a marketing production system. So that once you get into it and you learn it over a period of time, it becomes almost second nature to you. Because we have to take back our own market. And taking back our own market and our thought means they have to have ownership, sovereignty. That's what we become sovereign people, a sovereign people, a people who eat what we produce for ourselves, who have control over what we eat. Nobody feeding us any crap. Nobody making us dependent on their crap. So that we don't have the physical, the mental, or the spiritual vibrations to do what we're supposed to do. We can't elevate yourself. We're not getting down into that. Okay? Also, especially for those people in the higher tourism areas in the Grenadines, this is just the start. We want you to be able to produce as much as possible, and not just to produce, to link you up here with the people who could produce more than you, to market a lot of that in the tourist season, which we're going to expand. We, not the government, we're waiting on the government. We will expand it by our products because we'll make it available. So when a yacht or a boat or whatever comes there, they will, because of the quality of our food and the affordability of our food and the healthiness of our food, they will be forced to come and buy food from us locally. Right there. And the supply will be continuous. Because that's how we're going to set it up. That is where the sustainability comes in. The supply will be continuous. Because if we do not set up a system where the little tourism we have here, when we build it up big, pulls our agriculture, to allow the agriculture now to pull the tourism, then we're not saying anything. The agriculture, by its quality, its quantity, its affordability, will pull the tourism. Whether for food or for medicine, people must want to come to this country all the time. Not just for sea and sand. They must come for other reasons. They must come here that when they leave Vinci, they feel much healthier than when before they came. When they leave Vinci, they are more healthier than when they came. They arrive. So we will always have them coming. That's where we have to go. The attitude of our workers must change. Must change, and we have to start with the youth. That is why I am intent and work. I've been working in it, and I wouldn't stop. I continue working in it. Not saying much, but I work in. People do it. Most people don't even know how I work to get in this program off. To have a program going in schools in this country, not the joke program they have going on now. An agricultural program in the schools of this country where the children, regardless of what they come in life, will have a basic education in agriculture and agricultural business. agriculture and food, nutrition, its usefulness, and its application right through. So even though somebody comes an engineer or a mechanic or have anything to do with fixing implements, they could apply that to the agricultural sector. Because right now the agricultural sector needs a lot of technical people in it at the highest level. People to design and to service tools, equipment, and infrastructure. We also need people who are creative, who could make, who could take local products, learn from them, and make inputs, organic inputs to help our farmers. And talking about implements and tools and so on, I started working over a year ago with one of the best welders in this country. And we have designed, we want to put out a patent soon, a raised stand, like what you call like what people call a lettuce bed or green vegetable bed, that could fit into a yard, even though the yard is concrete and have no dirt, and be last for years and years and years. We're going to make them, and we're going to try to make them as affordable as possible to people, so that you can get the investment necessary to purchase 5, 6, 7, whatever it is you need, and have a small commercial unit right in your yard, along with the water collecting services that the state's supposed to provide, the water, and make money right there. Employ yourself gainfully right there in your yard. Like the sister from Chauncey there, yeah, we want to try to beg you up in a way, people like you in a way, that you have everything there so that when the end of the week comes, you know for the week you did some real commercial activity. Because the market is here. The market is here. You gotta go know where to sell. The market is right here. You just have to produce the right quality, organize it the right way, and market it the right way. And we in business. We're not going anywhere at all. We're right here. That is how we have to do it. Let the good earth produce. We cannot be a country here with so much of our land being arable, meaning suitable for farming. And all we have, the two biggest crops we have in this country right now, elephant grass and trumpet bush, trumpet tree. The two biggest crops we have, and we are doing anything with them. We not even say, well, we're drying the trumpet and packaging it to sell it outside for people who have problems with asthmatic problems, with cough, throat, allergy, all these things. And trumpet bush good for these things. Our diaspora in America, North America, both Canada and United States alone. That's a massive market right there. But they too have to organize themselves and start pulling from the country here and stop using those fancy things that they're trying to sell you up there in these pharmacies that only keep you on a tread line. Just treat you, but don't kill you. Don't make you any better. Okay? You have to organize yourselves up there to pull from here. But we cannot wait on them. We have to take care of our local market. You heard how sick our country is. Let us heal our country. In any good book you read, you hear it say the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Let us get the fullness out of the earth. The fullness. We are the earth people. We're not putting anything in the earth which we not put in our bodies, so that when we get things out of the earth, we and the earth are one. One nature, one carbon, one melanin, one life, one vibration, one spirituality. That's where we're going. Produce the clean food from the earth. Clean food, give you clean heart, clean mind, clean hands. clean temple, clean eye rates. Can't go any other way. That is the way it has to go. Every time you do that, you cut down on the diseases, including the mind diseases, which we have now in a lot of our people, which is feeding a lot of crime. And that brings I over to the marijuana, the ganja. Because you have to talk about it, never mind who don't want to listen. Truth is truth. You cannot run from the truth. Don't take my word for it, go and look it up. It is the most important plant on the earth today. The most important plant on the earth today. There is no industry. There is no industry, none in the world, that is growing faster than the marijuana, the one they call in the marijuana industry, inclusive of the one they call in the medical marijuana industry. And we know that they only calling that for name because all marijuana have medicinal properties. But for the fastest growing industry in the world today is that one. Anywhere you go in the world. And our people here are suffering because they are not geared to the industry. It makes so many products. You don't have to smoke. There are lots of products you make that help a lot of diseases and pains and everything here. And we are not even scratching the surface yet. And like what is happening with the food, we move from a net producer and a net exporter to a net importer. And what we have in today on the market, turning a lot of the children, the young people who are using it, and not the not so young, dotish and non-thinking, docile, very docile. So you just accept everything and believe it. You don't want to know again, you just believe everything. And you don't get the vibration to create anything new. So you have to move away from that. And that is where we're moving away from. We have to move away from that because we have to be a productive and competitive country at every level, particularly our food and our agriculture. Particularly our food and agriculture. So the government, you know that you have a role to play. You have a role, whether you cooperate or what, because we have our government too, and we have a role to play. All governments have a role to play. Sovereign and corporate have roles to play. Right now, if you follow online, or you follow on radio, or you follow on TV, which way you follow, the present presidential campaign in the United States, you would see that the lady who a lot of our people in America, our diaspora, are shouting for, especially our people in New York. Every time she has a chance to open her mouth, one of the first things she say, I am in full support of the total legalization of cannabis, marijuana. I am supportive. When you hear someone saying that at that level, they already have that act, because that is what they write. These laws already prepared, and it's just a matter of implementation. So we in the Caribbean here, we can't follow our leaders who hedging and this and that and playing Frady and all them kind of things. Some of them not Frady, you know. It's just that they do not want the small person to be financially independent to a certain level. Never mind how much independence they're telling you about. Because they still want to control you and have you doing certain things at certain times. So if we wait until that happens up there, and we do our people in the Caribbean make that move, and make it happen here, then you know what happens? They will flood this area, this region, with their stuff. And our farmers will find it harder to regain their market. That is exactly what's happening. So we cannot wait on them. We have to make sure that our niche is controlled by our people. That's the point. So their job right now is like what Peter Tosh recommended years ago when he saw the vision. That's what they have to do. That is what they have to do. Follow what Peter Tosh said decades ago. Legalize it. Yes, 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 Honorable Prime Minister, yes, Honorable Minister of Agriculture, yes, head of the National Cannabis Authority. Coming your way soon, coming your way next day with support for, first of all, our farmers who need water storage equipment right now, and proper water storage equipment so that they could grow, increase their greens to allow this country to consume more vegetables, to reach the international targets for which you have signed on to and which you have failed to reach. You are, of course, only farmers working together could put us back on course and make it happen. And also to support the workshop planned for next week, Jawelin, of our some of our local cannabis, traditional cannabis cultivators must have that first workshop. They need a series of about 3 workshops. We want to have this first one before you have your bliss with the Canna Bliss, which is well supported in the community. We need to have our workshop proper, right? So we could collectively set our course going forward. And our farmers can be a great part of helping to achieve that 25 by 25 goal, which you have signed on to since last year. And we in this country, we ain't even reached 5 yet to reach 25 and by 2025. So to make sure we make things happen, you make these things happen. Everyone have a great week, a blessed week. Stay strong as I'm an exodus out of this program tonight. Respect, love, and guidance every time.